But anyway, the reason I'm going to talk about Bitcoin today is I'm very optimistic on Bitcoin. I own Bitcoin. I'm going to buy more Bitcoin, but I'm going to say horrible things about it. So if you can't take it, you shouldn't listen to this program. But I will explain why I like Bitcoin. I also have Ethereum. I have no dogecoins and all those other things. To me, that's different. That's a mania. So does it make sense to you? I mean, it's people don't know what they're doing. They're speculating. That's not the problem. You see, China has not liked Bitcoin forever. You know, in 2013, they said, don't buy Bitcoin. 2014, they said, don't buy Bitcoin. 2015, they said, don't buy Bitcoin. And 2016, I think they said, don't buy Ethereum. Mm-hmm. So when the press comes out and says the reason Bitcoin crashed is because China trashed it. Well, they've always trashed it. Yeah. And and for those of you tuning in, if you hate Trump and you like Bitcoin, you'll probably hate me after this. But anyway, I'm going to tell you what I know. I don't want to swing either way. It's like I said, there's a lot of fake news out there. So I love Bitcoin. I almost bought it, I think it was 2017 when I was at 20,000. But I didn't, and I'm going to say this much here, okay? This is real financial education, what they don't teach you at school. So there's three kinds of people in the world when it comes to money. There's an investor, a trader, and a speculator. I am an investor. So the moment I started buying Bitcoin, I wasn't a trader. A trader is somebody who's going to buy it and sell it. A trader, like in real estate, is kind of a flipper. They buy a house to flip it. That's what traders do. And a speculator is a gambler. And I would say most people who are chasing dogecoins and all this other stuff and Bitcoin, and they're speculators. They're all kind of gamblers hoping it'll go up. That's not what I do. So we at Rich Dad teach us, we don't say one is right or wrong. We're just saying there's three different types of investors. So I am an investor. I understand trading. That's what Andy Tanner and all those guys teach, is how you can make money going up and make money coming down. It makes no difference. So when Bitcoin crashed, I made more money. You see, and the guys who are losing money right now is because you're not a trader, you're a speculator. So don't say, oh, you hate Bitcoin. No, I think you're stupid. That's what I'm saying, but it doesn't mean I hate Bitcoin. Okay, so don't be a speculator, because those are gamblers out there. And real financial education should include why Bitcoin and gold and silver are going up and down. And one is because in 1944, there was a thing called the Bretton Woods Agreement. America had basically won World War II against the Japanese and the Germans and the Italians. So in 1944 at Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, the US government promised we will back the US dollar with gold. But as you know, the US lies a lot. So everybody in the world says, okay, we'll accept the dollar because it's as good as gold. So I wasn't born yet. And 1971 is when a man named President Nixon broke the promise. And the dollar came off the gold standard and it became debt. So the reason we have all this volatility with the Fed and the Treasury and Bitcoin and Dogecoin and all that is because of what happened here. So in 1971, you know, the reason your father and I travel the world teaching financial education is because this changed all the rules. So what happened in 1964, I started buying silver. I was 16 or 17 years old. And in 1972, I started buying gold at $35 an ounce. But in 1971, it was illegal for Americans to own gold. And I was a pilot in Vietnam flying for the US Marine Corps. And I thought it was really strange that it was illegal for an American to own gold. So I became suspicious of the Federal Reserve Bank and the Treasury. So when I meet most Bitcoin investors, they don't trust the Fed and the Treasury either. They don't trust Biden. They don't, especially like Kamala, and they don't trust Nancy. You know, Bitcoin guys and or women are rebels. And Rich Dad is a rebel brand. That's why I don't say go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, and invest for the long term in the stock market. I don't do any of that because I don't have to. And now that it's crashing, you know, they're getting afraid because they don't know how to make it back. And what I'm saying is that with the right financial education, it's infinite. And so when I was listening to the news, oh, China says they banned Bitcoin, I'm going, no, they didn't. They ban it every year. What China did ban, this is the most important thing, they allow the little guy to own Bitcoin or crypto. But the institutions cannot own Bitcoin. That's the most important point I want you to understand. It's institutions don't own Bitcoin. Like the central bank doesn't own Bitcoin because Bitcoin goes against the central bank. So that's why it's the Fed, the European Central Bank, the Japanese Central Bank, the British Central Bank of England, they don't like crypto. That's important to understand. So they're going to do exactly as they did here. Because they're going to try and manipulate the crypto market. So it's going to go up and down. So that's what I support young people like you doing is, you know, Bitcoin is important. It's going to crash. I think if it goes to 27,000 a coin, I'm going to back up the truck. I'm going to buy more.
Gold and Bitcoin will crash when the world finds a COVID vaccine that works. This is according to my guest today. He is Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he joins me now.
Yeah, I think the problem isn't the pandemic. The problem is our economic system. And as most of you guys know, on September 17th, 2019, there was a crash in the repo market of the shadow banking system. And then voila, COVID appears in December of 2019. So I was always a little suspicious of it. I'm not saying it's not real, but it was a little too convenient. Something's fishy, and that was kind of my suspicious mindset.
Should we find a vaccine, that gold and Bitcoin would get hit hard?
Well, I don't know what get hard, but you know, happy days are here again because I hate to say this, but gold, silver, and Bitcoin are investments of disaster. You know, if everything was perfect, you don't need gold, silver, and Bitcoin. So I've been collecting silver since I was in 1964 when I found out this silver tinge upon my little dimes and nickels and dimes and quarters. And I started buying gold in 1972. My first coin was in 1972 was in Hong Kong. I bought a Kruger in. And the reason is I understood what happened when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. And as you know, most of the pessimist gold guys like me just know you just can't keep printing money. And so this COVID thing is a little suspicious. You know, that old saying is don't fight the Fed. And there is some truth that if you had followed that advice in 71, you did okay because the Fed always bailed you out. But that's what I was talking about September 17, 2019, that fire in the repo market. You know, they couldn't, and the Fed jumped in and the Treasury jumped in to save the repo market. That's socialism. That's communism. That's central controlled government. So now the economy is controlled by the Fed and the US Treasury. Free market is gone.
It's a Fed-fueled party, basically.
Correct. And what happened is separated the price of a stock from the fundamentals of the stock. And so as you know, many of the CEOs were just borrowing money off their corporations. Like, let's say Ford, and making them they went from AAA to BBB junk bond status. AT&T and these companies. So the CEOs were complicit in borrowing from their corporate treasury, repurchasing their stocks, which sent the price of the stock up, and then the CEOs parachuted out under capital gains taxes, not ordinary income taxes. So this whole thing has been one, as Marines would say, a gaggle of F. It's just really a mess. Buffett is saying the banks aren't going to make it. Because, you know, what happens every single time is when the Fed and the Treasury take over, They don't need commercial banks. They want to go straight from the treasury to the people, which is PPP, Universal Basic Income, UBI, and MMT. So the Fed is now becoming the banker for the people also. That's centrally controlled economy. So that's why I tweeted, I said, when the vaccine appears and happy days are here again, the real problem has always been the economy. It's been the central bank, the repo market, Wall Street, US Treasury. When you look at zero interest rate policy, which we're going to, that's saying we don't want your cash, we don't want your savings. They're forcing mom and pop into the equities market or the bond market or the real estate market. And if you're going to survive into the future, if you're just going to buy, hold, and pray in your 401k, you're toast. You're toast. Because there's no correlation right now between the price of the stock and the underlying fundamentals. And the reason I said gold, silver, and Bitcoin will crash when the vaccine will come out, I tweeted it's a good thing because it's a buying opportunity, because the problem wasn't the pandemic anyway. The pandemic has always been the underlying repo market, shadow banking system, the Fed, the Treasury, and all those characters. So information is the key for the future. And that's why you've got to be up to date on it every minute, because zero interest rates are saying we don't want your money.